Machne Ephraim, Parshas Bechukoisai. He says, the pasuk says, "V'yoshon mipnei chodesh tetziu," you will take out the old in front of the new. Meaning you're going to have so much blessing, there's going to be so much abundance that you won't have to keep the old supply because constantly there will be new ones coming. So it says, Yirmaz Aderech Disa B'Zohar HaKodesh, the Zohar says, Ichlu Reim, eat friends, Ilan Delem Ispashin Lalmin, there are friends that never separate. Shisi V'Shichru Doidim, drink and get drunk lovers, Zimnin de Misparshin V'Zimnin Lo Misparshin. Lovers sometimes are together and sometimes are apart. So the Reim, the friends, are always together. But lovers, they sometimes turn away from each other and sometimes towards each other. So when do they not separate? When they have the light that comes from the face of the secret of Atika, of the ancient secret. The secret about the ancient one. So through this secret, there is light in the faces, and through this light, the lovers come together. V'azai kol olmen b'chaydi ben hirin da'amp, and then the whole world is happy and the faces are shining. A face that shines is a face that's experiencing love. The happiness of love makes the face shine. V'zei roza diyechido, this is the secret of the unification. Shashchina nisala, the Shechina, the light, the life force that dwells within the worlds, receives an upgrade. She gets more light, she gets more life force from the source. All the holy souls that come forth from the Shechina and emanate to within the bodies and animate the bodies from within, like the one you know, the one you see when you look in the mirror. So that receives life from the Shechina. So those receive life, receive happiness, receive joy, receive pleasure when the lovers unite. And when the lovers separate, then the souls have less sustenance, have less happiness, and the faces might seem fallen. They're not shining. So the secret of the unity causes the Shechina to elevate, to be elevated, and together with it all the holy souls who are held with it, imisham, and from there, nishpa kol ha'eshpaz v'chol ha'tanigum, come forward all the abundance and all the pleasures. Shekila nikroim Chaim, all pleasures are called life. Shem snifin l'chayis odem, they're like branches, different branches of life, different ways of receiving life. Life is desire to exist. Desire to exist is based on pleasure, because this is, all the species are like this, that they get trained into their behaviors through pain and pleasure. And the more sophisticated the species, the more sophisticated the pains and the pleasures that they might go after, because their nervous system is designed with different nuances of what they enjoy and what they don't enjoy. But this is what's driving all behavior. Pain and pleasure is how nature trains its creations. And so the source of all pleasure is the source of creation, the source that created us. He has within him, he dwells in a place where all pleasures combined cannot describe. And so every way that he allowed us to receive pleasure is like a channel of light to the soul that dwells within the worlds. So the soul, as it was outside the worlds, creates a reality where there's a void of pleasure, there's a void of desire for life. There's the possibility that one might live here and he doesn't desire life. That's how void it is from the real pleasure of existence, the real reality, the way that it is unembodied, the effortless existence. And so when we go into this existence where it's dressed up within a physical body, now there's effort to existence. And sometimes the mind comes to a conclusion that the results are not worth the effort, because the mind doesn't really understand the purpose of this experience. The mind only knows what it was told. The way that it interprets that information at the time it receives it, with the intelligence of that age. And so, what trains us in life, what are we going to go after and what are we going to avoid, depends on the different pains and pleasures that we experienced, specifically as children. And if there was extreme pain or pleasure, then it might tilt our perception of life until we see the world from a different perspective than other people. And so the source of life is the source of pleasure, and therefore all the different possibilities of feeling fulfillment, of feeling loved, of feeling recognized and acknowledged, of feeling spiritually in tune with reality, of feeling all the different sensations of bliss, of realization. These are all channels of life coming from the source of life in order to guide us to our destiny, to our realization, to recognize our true nature. And so if a human being was to really know how to give himself pleasure, then there would be no challenge in the world for people to dedicate their lives to spirituality, because if they knew that the real place, the real source of pleasure, the only sustainable source is in the spiritual, is in finding peace and recognizing the nature of life, then everybody would dedicate themselves to that pursuit. But because this reality has been hidden from humanity, for whatever reason, humanity is looking for pleasure in places that are unsustainable. They don't have the base on what to build a reality where humans interact with each other in a way that is pleasant enough for our nervous system, so that we never leave our place of comfort, we never leave our place of peace as we interact with each other. So today, to interact with the world is to leave our peaceful state. Some of us forget the nature of the peaceful state until, even when it's quiet, they have to turn on some news or something that can give them a feed of that negative energy, so that they don't have to feel the awkwardness of that peaceful state. Because all day they need to interact in a different energy level, and a level that requires everyone to really look out for themselves, because who knows what's going to happen in the next transaction. And so humanity was designed to be trained to go after pleasure and avoid pain. This is the design of every species. This is the design of everything that was created. This is not specific to humanity. Humanity is the one that's expected to be intelligent enough to understand how to find sustainable pleasure. But as of right now, humanity is most certainly not intelligent enough to realize the true source of its pleasure. And so humanity is trying different approaches that turn out to be inaccurate. Different forms of interpreting life, interpreting reality, rise and fall And humanity is yet to find a place where it can coexist in peace. And so when there's no peace, when there's conflict, together with conflict comes suffering. Suffering is the opposite of pleasure. And then we go more and more away from source. We get more and more distant from seeing life as the gift that it is. And we start seeing life through a lens of interpretations that allow us to justify the suffering that we witness. But that's not life the way that it was designed or meant to be, and therefore that perspective is distant from the Creator. It's distant from the real reason we were designed to exist. If the Creator were to see life from that perspective, He wouldn't have created life. So it cannot be His perspective. And so all the different ways of receiving pleasure are called life, because it's like branches of life. It's channels of life coming from the source of life. The old one, the ancient one, because of the new one, when humanity will awaken from below, when humanity, meaning the conscious mind, will awaken to all the unconscious powers that it has. So when there will be a renewal in humanity, there will be a new face from below. When will that happen? When it shines a light from the face of the secret of the Ancient One. Then humanity will renew itself. That also below, humanity will unite as one. They will realize their true nature. They will return to what they were designed to be. And so they will have no more suffering created within each other, which means that they will experience the pleasure. Whoever experiences the pleasure comes very close to the Creator very quickly. Because why would anyone want to be in conflict with the Creator? The only reason anyone is ever in conflict with the Creator is because they're suffering and they don't like it. And they were designed not to like it. They were meant to get the message that they're doing something, or they've received some type of training that is unnatural to them. And so when humanity will learn how to create pleasure within each other and not suffering, then humanity will love the Creator. Nobody will ever go distant from Him. Nobody will ever want to violate His rules, whatever they might be. Everybody will want to comply with His design because He had the best vision. He knows what He did, and why would anybody want to mess with that? So the only reason we mess with it is because we suffer and we're traumatized. And then, through different pains and pleasures, we create the wrong associations. We think of the Creator as He is not, and the things we want, we sometimes think that the Creator wants not. And there's a big misunderstanding in the communication between what are we and what are we supposed to do. And this is because there's a big confusion in the communication between reality and culture. Culture does not reflect reality in an accurate way, and so there's confusion in the minds. The minds interpret words from the ancient world in a way that the ancient world never said and never would say and couldn't even think like that. And so today, the way the culture interprets what's being said in the ancient world is not what was said, and nobody ever would have said. It's pure insanity. It's just miscommunication between different brains and different understandings and different norms and different interpretations of what it means to be human. And so, when there will be a unification, there will be shining faces. because humanity will unite from below. V'azai kol olmim b'chaydi. Then all the worlds are in bliss. V'nishpoin kol ha'ashpos, all the abundance comes down. Everything anybody wants, they can have, because that's the new nature of the universe. You want it, you got it. Why is it so difficult to get what you want today? Because human beings are difficult. That's the only reason. Human beings have everything you want. They just don't want to give it to you. And so when human beings won't be difficult, life won't be difficult. And then even the stars, the intelligences that run the heavens, will bow to the will of man. And then there's happiness in all worlds. V'chol zeh, how do we achieve all this? Rak al yidei midas u'emes. Only through the attribute of truth, she'ma'orerim milamata, that we wake up from below. If we wake up the truth will come and save us. If we remain in the illusion will continue to punish us. And this is the way it must be. There's no better way. So if we wake up to the truth, then we will recognize the unity and we will return humanity to its natural throne on top of the solar system, on top of the cosmos, where we belong. Only because we've been fighting with each other have we lost our throne and we've all become slaves. We're all working for no one. No one benefits. It's a system. It's a corporation. It's text, numbers, computers, but no one benefits. There's nothing there. Whoever identifies as the stock market gains power when it goes up, loses power when it goes down, just like everything else. There's no reality behind it. There's nothing there. We are real. How we feel is real. That's nature. That's divine. A stock market, numbers, computers, banks, they're not real. We made them up. It's a fiction of our own imagination. And we've all agreed to go by it. Implicitly or explicitly. So we awaken the truth, and then the truth becomes real in all the worlds. V'zeh isnir nihir damp, and then starts shining the face which represents the internal status of the being. The face which represents all the organs and how they're functioning and what they think about the situation. V'zeh v'nesati shalom ba'aretz. I'll give peace in the land. Shalom choser vav. It's missing the letter vav. He misper shi'anayin is the number of 370. Hai neshan oirin, this is the 370 lights that shine to the earth. Ba'aretz haine al demidas emes, keniske betekinim. Through truth, we discover reality. Emes, Yerushatayves 1000 she eretz, v'al derech emes me'eretz titzmach. That emes grows from the earth. So it says emes stands for 1290, which is also the number of eretz. If aleph is 1000, and then resh tzadik is 290. So emes grows from the earth. What does it mean? Our body is what's grounding us in reality. If not for our body, we would be, all of us, so distant from reality that we wouldn't even be able to see each other. It's only because we have bodies that we are forced to be in proximity with each other and interact with each other and find the truth and get to the bottom of things. And so the truth grows from the earth. From the physical, we can test and see what's true and what's not true. And this is why the ultimate proof of a prophet is the power over the physical. וגם השכינה נקראת ארץ. Also the Shekhinah is called the earth. The soul of the earth is the soul of us all. And that's the physical part of our being. That's the part that makes this entire experience possible. And this comes from the source. This is the life force that came forth from the shining of the sun, the rays of the sun. The entire solar system is running. And so the life force that comes to this planet is coming from the sun. And who gives it to the sun? The dimensions that are invisible to us, but are certainly very real, because our dimensions can't explain themselves. It's only the deeper dimensions that cause these dimensions to be the way that they are. And so the truth grows forth from the earth, Shei Malchus, which is the kingdom which we represent, Madrega Tachtona, the last level. The last level of the manifestation is the human soul. From there come all the levels of fear, the awe, the realization that a person could have of the nature of reality. This comes from the Malchus, from the lowest level. Is when there is the appropriate awe, the appropriate fear, the appropriate realization, then he can have no fears from anything of the outside. If a person has the appropriate fear, it means he recognizes who he's interacting with. If he recognizes who he's interacting with, he can no longer have fear from anything that one created. So when somebody returns to reality, they realize that they don't have control and nothing is theirs to control in the first place. Because they don't understand the biology of what makes them be. So they don't even know how much they can trust their thoughts. We don't know the first thing about how we become and how we're supposed to become. And so the appropriate fear is to realize that there's a true way, there's a nature, there's a reality, and we want to direct ourselves to be as closely aligned with it as possible. And one of the requirements to allow us to align with it as closely as possible is that we're not afraid from anything and anybody else. Because if we are, we're already not doing it right. We're already reducing the power from the one inside of us that needs all the power it can muster to make it through this obstacle field that this world has become. So when somebody has the right awe, the right fear, all the other fears, they disappear. They're only meant to wake you up. The love is to remember who created you, to remember what you're relying on in the first place. Even when you're laying, meaning even when you're down, when your mood is not the way that you desire, it's called laying down. When a person is small-minded, when a person gets stuck in old patterns and they no longer can see through the fog. Even then, even in that time, you won't need any external fear to wake you up to the internal awe. You'll always be connected to the real awe. You'll never forget. Even when you're not feeling it, you still won't forget. You won't start getting into conflict with yourself just because you're not feeling it. You still remember who you're working for, and then you don't want to offend that one. You don't want to offend the spirit that resides in your heart. So even if the mood is not the way that it should be, the fear of doing it wrong, the awe and the realization of what we're interacting with still has to remain. And that is the nature of the unity. The unity means that regardless of what comes into reality, we always choose reality. Because reality comes from the unity. The reality represents the desire of the one who made all. So, if reality will bring whatever it will bring, we will still choose reality over non-reality. Non-reality means whatever alternatives you feel are more suitable. This means even if in the most horrible times, even in the last century, when people are going through the most horrible things, to choose the unity is to choose reality, even while the worst is happening. And this is a sign of intelligence, this is a sign of wisdom, because there's nowhere else to be. So what we do when we choose the alternative is that we live less. And when we live less, then our enemies win. And so if we want to help the world, if we want to help ourselves, if we want to help the life force that lives inside of humanity, we have to always choose reality. Always choose reality. Whatever we have to tell ourselves in order to choose reality, so be it. We're lying to ourselves all day long anyway. But at least at the end of it, we should choose reality. If we don't choose reality, that doesn't matter what we're telling ourselves. We're already withdrawing from the unity. We're opposing. And we're not allowing reality to unite with us. This is always really our only choice. Can we allow reality in? Are we intelligent enough to understand the nature of this experience? Or have we gotten stuck on the details? And now we've forgotten who we're working for. We don't understand what's in our best interest anymore. We choose an illusion over reality. We choose an alternative that doesn't exist over the only alternative that does exist. The only alternative which is. If we give all we have to the one that is, then we have more. And we can make better. If we pull away, then we have less. And we become less and less relevant. And so, of course, pleasure is a channel of life. But reality is more important than pleasure. Because reality is the long-term access to pleasure. Reality is what gives us access to everything. If we move away from reality, then eventually we'll have less pleasure. Reality is the source of all pleasures. And so the spiritual pleasure is the pleasure of realization. The pleasure of realization requires that we identify as the one. If we identify as the one, then we have pleasure from realization. Realization of the one. The one that's always there. Wherever you are, you can realize that you are you and gain pleasure from that. If you like being you. If you don't like being you, realizing that you are you might not feel pleasant, but keep doing it, because eventually you will realize that you're really sweet and you'll fall in love with you. A human being is very easy to love. A human being is the most approachable of all the species. And so there's no reason we shouldn't get along with ourselves. So come back to the unity through realizing the shining face of the Ancient One. Who's the Ancient One? The one who has no definition for life. He's just happy he made it. He's happy to be here. If he gets to be here, that's enough to put a smile on his face. And that allows all your spirits to unite. Under his umbrella, everybody can become one. There's no conflict with no one. Because it is all one. It's all the same one trying to become himself. So allow your identity to move to that place so that you can find the safety there. You can find your sustenance. And then you can interact with the world from a safe place. You won't come from a place of desperation, from a place of lack, from a place of being needy. You'll realize your place here. This is your place, this is your planet. As long as you have that body, you belong here. And this should be comfortable, it should feel nice, because then it's easy to love the Creator. However, even when it's not nice, even when it doesn't feel good, still remember to love and stick to reality, the source of all pleasures. Never get into conflict with reality simply because some of the circumstances don't feel nice. Because the world is not the way it was meant to be. Humanity is taking control of things they don't understand. And they will cease when they realize their mistake. But until then, do not allow that to get you into conflict with the Creator. That's a fight you don't want to pick. So whatever happens, realize that you are in reality and you were designed to tolerate it. It's not meant to hurt you. But even when it does, and even if it does, remain in the unity. Give more power to life. Give more power to yourself. Find compassion to the situation so that we don't create conflict. If we don't create conflict, all the worlds, all the angels, all the spirits, everyone will be there to help us. And most importantly, all the humans will be there to help us. May it happen soon.